Okay, good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube. Iyun. We're going to discuss today the last Mishnah in Perek K, which talks about animals going out. Yesterday we said that anything which is not a muscle, anything which is not a burden, an unnecessary burden for an animal to wear, um, that's okay. For example, right, you want to tie the male organ down so they shouldn't copulate, or tie the woman's tail, the female sheep's tail up so that it should copulate, or that the milk should dry out, or the milk should produce more milk of the cow. You're allowed to do those things according to Tanakama. That's not considered a muscle. Here we learn in Mishnah Dalet there are certain things you can't do. For example, to tie pieces of wood, a collar around the neck of an animal so it shouldn't uh, further its wound. It has a wound on its neck, or uh, you're putting a ring around the feet of a chicken so they shouldn't hit into each other and ruin the feet, or a cow, or you're putting all these things are protective types of things, as Mishnah Dalet over here, where you're trying to protect the animal from it has a wound, or you don't want it to get a wound, or it has a wound, you don't want it to get worse. Uh, these things are usher. They're called a muscle. Now, why are they called a muscle over here? Technically, you want them to be animals so that they shouldn't get ruined. So the difference is that Shabbos, this is a basic idea of Shabbos. The whole idea of Shabbos in a general sense is that you should be free, you should be ponuit mi malacha. You shouldn't be engaged in malacha. Now, we always think of malacha, lamentam malachos, but the main idea of malacha is you shouldn't go to work on Shabbos, right? You should be free to enjoy the day with you and your family. Um, there are certain types of creative work which we'll have to discuss why they're asura. What's the What's the understanding of the Torah? Why they should be forbidden? Even if there are things which are minute things like flipping on a light switch, or things like that, or being borer, taking beans out of your cholents or something like that. So why those things? That's not too hard to do. Why should those things should be forbidden? But the basic idea is that you shouldn't be engaged in finance. You shouldn't be engaged in your business on Shabbos. Business can be all consuming. You don't want to be in your business 24/7. 24/6 is enough for your business. So so here also, when you're protecting your animals from either getting a wound or their wounds from getting worse, we're not talking about that the animals are going to die. If they're going to die, that's a financial loss, which also is a physical loss, a beneficial loss, because you can't eat the animal. A lot of you are talking about kosher animals over here. You could potentially shecht the animal and eat it. In the previous Mishnah, we're talking about the milk that comes from the cow. You want it to dry out, or you want it to have more milk. So it's a physical benefit over there. So that's not called a muscle because you're benefiting physically from it. And therefore, even though it's not a taksha, it's not an accessory, but it enhances your physical benefit either on Shabbos or during the week. So it's not a financial gain over there. It's more of a physical gain over there. We're talking about this Masechas Dara, the difference between a physical hana and a financial hana, right? Usually the way it works is you earn money in order to convert that into things that you enjoy. Some people like earning the money more, just keeping it in their bank account for the rest of their lives without enjoying anything. Some people just like to buy a lot of things and enjoy things and have no money, and they spend more money than they can afford. So there's two types of physical analysis. So that's what I think in the Mishnah are discussing over here. If you're just doing it, these things they shouldn't get ruined the animal, and it should be able to work better, and it shouldn't die quicker. So that's a financial decision, and financial decisions are should be kept. You should abstain from them on Shabbos. Their financial considerations you should abstain from them on Shabbos. So that would be considered a muscle. That's going to get unnecessary burden, because you're not supposed to be engaging in financial considerations on Shabbos. However, when it comes to physical considerations, like animals copulating, and you're going to have more animals by doing that, so you can benefit. You can shecht more cows and chickens. You can eat more meat. So that's not just a financial consideration, but it's also a physical consideration of benefiting physically from the animals, or getting milk, milking the cows. So those things are mutter, but these things are usher, even though they're not actually a muscle. You want them to protect the animals; they shouldn't get damaged. But it's more a financial consideration than a consideration of enjoying the physicality, which the whole purpose of Shabbos is to focus on the physicality. The true one. Now, the true purpose of life is to get physical enjoyment, not to build up your bank account. That's what Hashem wants to remind you once a week. Hope you enjoyed today's share, and have a good Shabbos. And remember to enjoy the Shabbos responsibly, of course. Be well. Have a good Shabbos.